Another issue you might find on the Takagi Marco 2B Ultra Tower slit lamp is you may be having trouble with the stage moving freely. You may have already addressed all the other things that were in a previous video, but your stage is still, even with the rod is all the way down, it's not moving freely. So there could be an issue going on in here, and it's similar to the hog strike, but a little different. So we're going to get into here, and similarly there's a hole here that you can stick something in there and try to turn it. It might be too tight to loosen. So underneath there's a lock nut, and it has two grooves on it that you might be able to get something sharp like a nail or something and put it into the groove, and then with a hammer is hit that groove on that lock nut to release that nut so that you will be able to unscrew the shaft. And once you loosen it a little bit, it should start turning. And you can just keep unscrewing this. Once you've unscrewed it all the way, here's this nut. You can see it's got two grooves on it where you can put a screwdriver in there and turn it, but you can only do it so far, and then the shaft prevents you from using your screwdriver anymore, but you can use it a little bit. Once you have that nut off, then you can pull your stage assembly out, and it's similar to the hog strike, but it's also different in that on this one, on the back of it, there's no screw inside like the hog strike, where you would have to take that out to remove the shaft to get to the bearings. But there's a safety screw underneath it, and that keeps it from coming up and out. Now on the hog strike, the new ones, you can just pull the stage completely off, but back when they were making these, they wanted to keep it in place, so they put a safety screw. And it's possible that this little safety screw is messing with the operation of your stage, and or it's possible there's something going on in here with the bearings are starting to wear a little bit on your shaft, and so you might want to file and sand that shaft, and you have your bearings inside similar to the hog strike, and there's also a little clip in here, a little C-clip that keeps the bearings inside. So you've cleaned everything and greased it with some very thin grease, like some number 17 hog strike, or you can use rim oil or something to make sure it moves freely inside your bearings. And it could be that you just need to turn your bearing a little bit so that it's not rubbing the shaft on the same way. So we're going to put a little bit of grease on here. Just a tad. Then I'm going to put some rim oil on here. Get it nice and slippery. And insert it. And make sure it's moving freely. Now, if you wanted to, you could probably just take this screw out. It's not really necessary. And you might want to look at your screw, and if it's got some wear on it, then it could be that might have been your issue. So we're just going to go ahead and leave that out. But that'll just mean that we can pull our shaft, our stage completely off our shaft. So that's all that's going to mean. So you can put it back in and use it. It's up to you. So now that we don't have our screw in and we can put this in later, we can just put our shaft in, and with our lock nut, you can use your screwdriver a little bit until the shaft starts going through. And then you'll have to try to tighten it. You may have to get something else to hold it from turning. Put something in those grooves on the bottom and hold it. Keep it from turning. And it should be tight. So you might have to get your hammer holding the shaft tight. Then you can lock your nut in. And you might want to put some fingernail polish in it after you've checked it to make sure it's right. So if that's tight, if you rubbed off any lubricant off your shaft, put some back on and put your stage back in. Now there may be a little bit of resistance going in, but that's just pushing, getting your bearings realigned inside. And you'll just have to experiment to see what works. Now without that safety screw, this can come out. But that's just like the newer style hog stride anyway. And that might be the solution you need to free your stage up.